Welcome back. You're listening to 91.3 Lagos Talks. My name is Kolawole Falodun. Okay, so let's quickly get up to speed with today's edition of The Office. The Office, like I said, is proudly brought to you by the Chartered Institute of Personnel Management of Nigeria, CIPM, and Lagos Talks 91.3. Today, Thursday, the 16th of May, 2024. Let's get talking. Our guest this evening is FCIPM. He is the managing partner and chief executive officer of Remola's Management Consult, RMC, a division of Remola's International Nigeria Limited. He has garnered high value net worth corporate experiences as an organizational leader. Not just that, he is an HR expert, is a chief operating officer, and also general manager, sales manager, astute business process improvement expert, is a coach, a mentor in terms of learning, training, development, subject matters. He's an expert and senior consultant, and he's garnered these skills over the past decade. So it's a big opportunity that we have to speak with him. He's done it for at least 3 decades and concurrently served as a consultant in the last 15 years. He is the founding president and chairman of the governing council of the Institute of Leadership, Coaching and Strategy, the pioneer Lagos State coordinator of the Chartered Institute of Leadership and Governance, USA, Nigerian chapter. He is a past vice president of the Nigerian Institute of Training and Development, NITAD. He served and is still serving on some boards of trustees, governing councils, and faculties of professional bodies in Nigeria. He's a member of NIM and chairman of standing ad hoc committees of the Institute. He is a former member of the Board of Fellows of the Nigerian Institute of Training and Development and is currently on the Chartered Institute of Personnel Management of Nigeria, CIPM Board of Fellows, a member of the Board of Trustees of the Institute of Change Management International. He is also a member of the Governing Council of Grand Plus College of Education, Ilorin, Kwara State, Nigeria. He was a corporate training manager and head of a training learning center of Coca-Cola Hellenic Bottling Company in Nigeria. He is a member of the International Federation of Training and Development Organization, West Africa Administrative Governing Council, amongst others. This man I am privileged to speak to this evening is a fellow of several professional bodies in Nigeria and abroad. He holds a human resource practitioner's license from the Chartered Institute of Personnel Management of Nigeria for the period of 2023 up until 2026. He is an international professional. He's an international speaker as well. And he has made several appearances and presentations at conferences, seminars, and public lectures locally and internationally. He has done it. He's been there for a long time. I can go on and on with his accolades. He co-authored a book titled A Compendium of Learning Management Systems as a cookbook of 21st century trainers, and he has that to his credit. Our guest this evening on The Office is Dr. Marufu Olasunkade Azeez, is FCIPM Managing Partner, Chief Executive Officer. Good to have you join us this evening, sir.
It's a pleasure. Good evening, fellow professionals. Good evening, fellow Nigerians. Good evening.
All right, good to have you join us. All right, today's topic is very interesting because I think we've done this before, but from a different perspective. So today's perspective is quite interesting as well, and it's on emotional intelligence, leading with emotional intelligence in the workplace. And that's our topic this evening on The Office. So without wasting so much time, let's go straight to the first question. Doctor, why is emotional intelligence important in the first place for not just itself alone, for effective leadership in the workplace? Why do you think it is such a big deal?
Okay, thank you, the anchorman. Three things are actually germane in the topic of the day: emotional intelligence, leadership, and then workplace. Let me start from the rear. When you say workplace or company, is a place where we have different type of human beings with different orientation, who are product of different nature and different nurture, who come together basically to make certain things happen, to achieve business objective, organizational goal, and what have you. And when you say workplace, workplace can also mean company. And company in Latin word means company. Let's come together, different people, to bake bread. And people that bake bread, they come from different orientations, as I said earlier on. And of course, not only that, they come with different interests, they come with different orientation, different culture, different background, and what have you. And of course, for somebody who's to play the role of leader effectively, he must really be an emotionally intelligent person. Emotion simply means feeling. If you are not emotionally intelligent, needless to you for you to do anything again. But let me start by way of preamble. The quote of Aristotle, the great philosopher of our time, he said, and I quote, anybody can become angry. That is easy. But to be angry with the right person and to the right degree and at the right time for the right purpose and in the right way, that is not within everybody's power and it's not easy. You will agree with me for sure, Anchorman, that as simple as this quote looks, it's still complex. It's not easy, it's not convenient, it's not possible for one person to go through the gamut of that emotional journey and then have something better to do. Also, as part of preamble, we need to actually define what is emotional intelligence. By just basic definition, it has to do with the ability of individual to perceive, to apply, to understand, to manage, to handle one's feeling and the feeling of others. Lo and behold, leaders with high emotional intelligence can recognize their own personal emotion and those of others. And they also need to use it for information to guide thinking, action, perception, impression, and or behavior, to discern between different feelings and label them appropriately with necessary intervention and adjust emotion to different environmental setting or environment where they find themselves. You will agree with me, to avoid what I refer to as self-inflicted emotional intelligence myopia in the workplace, a good leader must, as a matter of necessity, be intelligently emotional to do things right and do right things all the time in the workplace.
Okay. All right. You're listening to The Office this evening on Lagos Talks 91.3, and today's conversation is on leadership, and not just leadership. It's leading with emotional intelligence in the workplace. Well, a lot of people who are listening, you at some point might have been in charge of 1, 2, 3 persons, perhaps coming together to make work happen, to be productive. And that's why these conversations are very important and cannot be overemphasized. And I've asked that Dr. Marufu this evening on that first question, and it leads us to the next question. He's spoken about what it is to be emotionally intelligent. You know, you're discerning emotions, you're clearly labeling each characteristics per person, and you're acting accordingly. Perhaps to also optimize the workplace or the workspace. But doctor, how does emotional intelligence contribute to relationships or building strong relationships in a team? For example, a team of 5, a team of 10 people working in a space together. In what way does emotional intelligence contribute to bonding or, you know, fostering a positive working environment?
It's okay. Thank you very much. As I said, the leader and the people is actually leading in a team. They belong to different backgrounds. They come with different orientation. They have different interests. And of course, they pursue The same thing in the workplace, of achieving the team objective, organizational goal, business vision, and what have you. Under relationship management, basically it refers to ability of leader to influence, to coach, to mentor others, and resolve conflicts effectively. You will agree with me that in the workplace, you can actually not rule out conflict, just like a normal human setting. It's synonymous with nature, is synonymous with human being. As I said, they come differently, with different background, with different orientation, and of course on the same career journey. So when things happen, basically it is the role and responsibility and duty of the leader to do what, to ensure that he's able to bring in what I call collaboration and not competition in the workplace. He also enables them to actually work as a coach, where he tells them, he shows them, and of course he allows them to do things through coaching. And of course, he also needs to play the role of a mentor. And in playing a mentoring role, basically is to actually tutor, is actually to develop, also to support individual from actually getting things done. Under relationship management, really, actually there are 4 different skills that one need to exhibit under emotional intelligence. The first one is self-awareness. You need to know yourself first. And of course, according to a lot of researches in this, you see, they say 95% of people think they are self-aware, but only 10 to 15% actually are. And that can actually pose problem for your employee. Working with colleagues who are not self-aware, can actually cause and actually cost the team, for them not to be able to achieve their success. Then the second one is about self-management. And self-management will refer to the ability to actually manage one's emotion, particularly in a stressful situation, and maintain a positive outlook. Despite setback, leaders who lack self-management tend to react and have a harder time keeping their impulses in check. And you see then they have what I call emotional outbursts or self-inflicted emotional myopia that can actually really hinder them from getting things done. And of course, the third skill or competency under that framework is that of social awareness. Why it's important to understand and manage your own emotion. You also need to know how to read a room. Social awareness describes your own ability to recognize others' emotion and the dynamics in play within your organization. For a leader to excel in social awareness, empathy is very important. He must practice empathy. He must strive to understand their colleagues' feeling, perspective, intention, attention, and of course, their own goal and aspiration, which enable them to communicate and collaborate more effectively with their peers. From a research that's actually conducted by DDI, it ranked empathy as #1 leadership skill, reporting that leaders who master empathy do perform more than 40% higher in coaching, in engaging others, and decision-making. In a separate study again, this time around by the Center for Creative Leadership, and what they say, researchers found that managers who show more empathy towards their direct report are viewed as better performers and able to actually achieve. And the last one, which has to do with the question you asked, is about relationship management, which I've actually extensively mentioned and described. Thank you.
All right. We don't have so much time. Let's quickly rush through all the questions that we have, and perhaps if you have questions, just push it to me on WhatsApp, and I'll be very happy to push it across to our guests this evening. We're talking about emotional intelligence in the workplace and how this could benefit leaders in this day and age. Just a quick bonus question before you tell us about your experiences so far, because I would like to know your experiences over the past few decades you've been doing this active work. I want you to share, your personal experience. But before all of that, how would you grade the level of emotional intelligence from what you've seen so far in 2024? With the kind of leaders that we have right now, how would you rate the level of emotional intelligence currently at play in the labor force in Nigeria?
Okay, because of the labor force is getting complex and getting complicated. Let's start to talk from COVID-19 to where we are today. You discover that a lot of companies are actually going to extinction and they become extinct. And this put much pressure on the labor managers, on HR managers, on people's manager, on CEO, and what have you, or leader in the workplace. By that I mean, you see, because again, government has not really been able to do a lot of things they're supposed to do. And that also put more pressure on the side of the employing organization. How do I mean? For instance, today we are talking about labor minimum wage. If you look at minimum wage, is it minimum? How minimum is the minimum? Is it a living wage or dead wage? How much of the thing in the market can actually an average labor, an average person, an average employee be able to buy? Then there's a disconnect. You know, government is actually giving, on one hand, given a very pittance increase in salary, but they are using the other side to take it by either through taxes, through this and that. And I know the public are actually reacting on that one way or the other. So in other words, the people that are actually having the responsibility, the duty, the obligation to manage the people, they have a lot of pressure on them. And of course, the reason being that the government scheme, the government welfare, you will agree with me that Aristotle said the essence of government is actually to bring the bundle of democracy to the people. And the essence and continuity of government is to bring in more welfare to the people, to the electorates, to the citizen. And where there's a disconnect between this, of course, the only government individual employee knows, the only government that the labor know is the employing organization. And in the light of this, where business is not doing well, and there are a lot of challenges, I mean, profitability is on the lower side, expense on the high side, and labor, they're also demanding. And all this won't go a long way to impact the overhead cost, which make it difficult for many business. You agree with me that many businesses, especially those ones with foreign contact, multinational company, many of them are actually packing their things to go. And if they are packing and they are stopping, their business from operating there, the little one that's really available, they end up bearing the brunt. And of course, and that is the reason why the people in the workplace, the people in charge of labor, the HR practitioners, they need to be emotionally intelligent. Though you may not be able to provide anything, but still let them know that they are important. Out of all resources available to any organization, name it, the man, the material, the method, the minutes, the machinery, and what have you. Man is the most critical of them all. And that is why they are complex. So in other words, government need to actually make economy of the country to be a little bit better, so that it will be easy for organization to really break even. And when they're able to break even, profit will surely happen. And when profit happens, overhead cost will not be a problem to actually manage it. It's actually very challenging in the recent past.
Okay.
It's very, very challenging in the workplace.
Okay. All right. Let's quickly get your experiences. I mean, over the past 10, 20, 30 years, you've been doing this. I'm very sure you must have come across situations that required a certain degree of emotional intelligence. You want to quickly tell us about those experiences, the things that you've seen, you've witnessed firsthand, and how much of a difference emotional intelligence played in that or those situations, if you can recall?
It's okay. Thank you very much. As a leader, you need two things before you need emotional intelligence at the entry point, before you actually become a leader. You need intelligent quotient, and then technical competence for you to, that's at the entry point. If you don't have that, you might find it difficult to actually key into and align with emotional as a concept, emotional as a necessity, emotional intelligence as exigency. So having done that, I think I have a lot to say, but because of time, I may not be able to say more. But let me just start a very good example that my fellow practitioners can actually borrow from, and at the same time, that will really help them. I happen to work in aviation for almost about 8-9 years, different organizations. But one of them, there was a particular incident when a staff was caught touting, and then he removed the bag, the tag of a passenger going to Abuja, going to Uyo, you remove it. The passenger he touted happened to be a passenger on his way to Abuja. So you remove the tag and exchange it. At the end of it all, because his duty post is not supposed to be that place, but he just come around because, and unfortunately, his passenger, illegal passenger, quote and unquote, came late, and for that person not to miss Abuja banned flight, so he just swapped that, whatever. By the time the two passengers reached their destination, the one that meant for Abuja could not see his luggage, but they saw one excess luggage go to Uyo. The other guy that actually went to Uyo saw, he couldn't really trace his bag, but they saw excess baggage going to Abuja. And of course, the matter came back to Lagos. And what did they do? I happen to be the HR at the group level, and then each of the subsidiary has their own management, MD, and rest of them. So at the end of it all, at the management level of that aviation company, what did they do? They resolved that the staff is to be handed over to the police. It must be dismissed. It must be do that. So when the matter came to me, and without me giving a go ahead, nothing can happen. So when it reached my side, I try to disconnect myself from any emotional myopia that can actually affect the business. Now, if they take that person to the police and they take him to court because they want him to be prosecuted, there are certain things there that are supposed not to. The ultimate, basically, I think three things they're actually aiming at: to serve as a punishment, to serve as a deterrence, and at the same time to also ensure that it doesn't reoccur again. I say if those are the three things that are to happen, there's a danger that can actually cause a collateral damage to the system. In the process of going to court, there will be in the news, especially now that we're in social media. Now, if they carry it, it will actually affect the image and the reputation of the company. And not only that, people will look. It will also affect the confidence level of that particular organization. And what did I do simply? I said, no, don't take him to the police. Don't take him to anywhere. Let him go through a code of conduct and different process. If he's able to go there, and he was able to go there truly. At the end of the day, the guy was summarily dismissed. What am I trying to say there? If I don't really apply emotional intelligence in balancing my judgment, the company, they will surely get rid of that guy, but at a cost that may be so, that will bring in calamity to the system. People will lose confidence, as I said, and of course, they may not actually want to use that facility at the aviation, in the aviation industry. So at the end of the day, we were able to remove the guy without causing any damage to the goodwill, to the reputation, which money cannot buy, to the organization. Assuming I fell for their emotional intelligence myopia, it will have actually backfired on the system. It will have really affected the goodwill of the company. It will actually affect, it will have really affected the system, the revenue, the integrity of the, of our luggage handling and what have you. So in other words, it's all about removing yourself from the mundane thinking, from pedestrian thinking, and look at it beyond ordinary, beyond the base value, to enable you to make the right decision so that you can do things right and do the right things all the time.
Okay, you're listening to 91.3 Lagos Talks. If you're just joining, this is The Office. We do this on Thursdays like this from 4:30 up until 5 o'clock here on Lagos Talks 91.3. Our guest this evening has been speaking on leading with emotional intelligence. That's Dr. Marufu Olasunkade Azeez, is FCIPM managing partner and chief executive officer. I've been pushing questions across to him, and we're not done yet, though. We have about less than 5 minutes to wrap things up, and I'll quickly push this question across to him. You spoke about COVID-19, and I think we can all agree that COVID was a pivotal year, and a year that reshaped the way we work. So a lot of people shifted operations to a remote model. So a lot of companies right now are even yet to bounce back to status quo and have adopted this remote style of working. Now, considering this and also considering advancements in technology, how do you think leaders can still be emotionally intelligent in this sort of setup? How do you think advancement in tech and remote work arrangements that we have in operation right now will influence the practice of leading with emotional intelligence?
Well, as I said earlier on, things are not the same any longer. And we cannot actually do things the way we have been doing it. Even in the real sense of it, there's no way you do something together and the same way and you want to get different results. In the age of automation, the secret ingredient of top performing team is no longer high intelligent quotient, but high level of emotional intelligence. And let me actually recall from the 2019 survey, which actually made the following revelation, that 82% of employees will consider leaving their job for a more empathetic organization, while 78% would, as a matter of choice and necessity, work longer hours for a more empathetic employer. And of course, along with these days, with higher morale come from improved job performance and innovation. I can also recall a year study of almost about 15,000 employees across many different industries found supervisor of emotional intelligent behavior to be what is really be. Now, what am I trying to say with all this analogy? Emotional intelligence play a crucial role in the workplace, especially around the work arrangement that has to do with technology and at the same time remote pattern. What are those that are so critical? Number one, empathy and connection. Remote work can lead to feeling of isolation and loneliness. Meanwhile, technology can actually help bridge this gap by facilitating virtual connection. Leaders should, as a matter of necessity, actively foster empathy through regular check-in, virtual team building activities, and at the same time, encouraging open communication. Anchor, man, you will agree with me that self-awareness also has a role to play. Technology tools like self-assessment survey or mindfulness apps can enhance self-awareness. Leader can encourage employees to reflect on their emotional strength and area for growth. What of adaptability? As Riley said, after 2020, during 2019, COVID-19, things have not been the same again. Adaptability happened to be in thing. So, and remote control begin to be the practice. So remote work often require adapting to new tools and processes. Leaders who model adaptability, you will agree with me, encourage a growth mindset, contribute to a positive emotional climate. What about inclusion? Technology enables diverse teams to collaborate against geographical zone, against a generational divide. Leaders must ensure everyone feels included, leveraging video calls, chat platform, and share documents effectively. What about conflict resolution? Virtual conflict can arise. Why? Due to miscommunication or different perspectives. So leaders should address conflict promptly, frontally, effectively, and emphasizing active listening and understanding. Again, the last in this way, let me round up with just stress management. Remote work can blur boundary. It makes boundary to be boundaryless between personal and professional life. Leader can promote stress management through wellness program, flexible schedule, and encouraging breaks. Remember, emotional intelligence remains essential regardless of the work environment. By leveraging technology and remote work thoughtfully, leader can enhance emotional well-being and foster a positive remote work experience. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much indeed for your thoughts, quite aptly put together, and we really appreciate this. We look forward to another edition where we can even throw some more perspectives and light onto this and more questions that will have asked about the correlation between emotional intelligence and organizational performance. I'm sure we can deduce from your responses that there's definitely a positive relationship between having emotional intelligence and how well an organization performs at the end of the day. Dr. Maruf, thank you so much indeed for joining us. Do you have any final thoughts on the program?
Well,
takeaways?
It's okay. Final word is this. A happy workforce is actually a productive workforce. And what brings in happiness is through emotional intelligence. So my parting word just go in the word of border quote, which says as resolve to be tender with the young, compassionate with the aged, sympathetic with the weak and wrong. Sometime in your life, you will have been passing through all this. Please treat human beings like human beings so that I can get the best from them. Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you very much indeed. That's it on today's episode of The Office. We are done for today. We had Dr. Marufu Olasunkade Azeez, his FCIPM managing partner, chief executive officer. And you know that The Office is proudly brought to you by the Chartered Institute of Personnel Management of Nigeria and Lagos Talks 91.3. My name is Kolawole. Next week, Thursday, is another chance for us to have these interesting conversations on The Office. This is Lagos Talks 91.3. Up next is Critical Thinking. All right, so thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, have a good day. Lagos Talks.